What's going on, Banana Squad? So I'm doing a one-on-one discussion here with Lost Kingdom. Now, normally when it comes to projects and investigating, I want to do it on my own. However, I'm hearing a lot, especially from, let's say, Byte Masons. They're going to be doing an AMA, and I want to do my research and find out what's going on. And by asking these questions, you guys can follow along as well. So I got Waldo here. Say hello, Waldo.
Hello.
Hey, so we're going to just go over a lot of things. Now, when it comes to a project, I want to know what makes it interesting. What is the innovation and makes it different? So that's what I'm going to try to focus on. See some of the tangibles and intangibles as well, pros and cons, and we'll go from there. So, number one question I think has to be, what is Lost Kingdoms and what makes you guys special in comparison to other projects?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So the Lost Kingdom is play and earn. We try to make the distinction between play and earn and play to earn. What we noticed with GameFi is there's this sort of trend of because it's new in crypto, it's trying to transition over into GameFi. We all recognize that kind of GameFi is the next thing, but this transition is usually clunky and it looks like finance that's poorly disguised as a game rather than like a game itself that
Mm,
has kind of crypto aspects. So, when we say play and earn, we're trying to present that, we're making a game kind of first and foremost, and the finance side is kind of a secondary thing that's added onto it. And this is more of what people are kind of wanting and expecting from GameFi. So, and the kind of the theme of the game is a sort of lore, kind of medieval fantasy. You might see like, the Gen 1 Mint that we're, live with right now, that's, humans, but you might see in the future, elves and orcs and things like that. We do have, dragons and those sort of things in this world that we call the Lost Kingdom.
okay. So no, I definitely agree with you in the sense that GameFi is just lacking. It has a lot to be desired. For me, in my personal experience, it's not fun because I got to put in time, and a lot of the time, the game isn't that fun. I just kind of resent the fact that I have to do a chore, and then I would rather do something else, especially if it comes to profit. So,
We're hearing a
what?
lot of that.
So I like that's on the Phantom side. However, in what ways would you say that this game is going to be fun and be wanting people to actually play as opposed to just sit there and grind through it?
Yeah, so, as adults, we don't really have as much time to play games as we used to. We've mentioned this a lot in our previous AMAs. As kids, we have this nostalgic memory of our games where it's like, you get home from school or maybe ideally, school is canceled because of snow, and those are the hype days, right? We
Oh
remember
yeah, that's what you live for. Yeah.
yeah, you game until you're in trouble, right? It's like you need to go outside or the computer's shut off or something like that. And,
Hmm.
and because we had that sense of time and, like, the future was, like, so far ahead of us that, when we'd play these games, it was kind of sloppy and more of, like, we would be okay with more social, aspects of the game, and, we weren't really efficient. But as adults with jobs and families and stuff, we're just trying to squeeze the most amount of gameplay as we can out of it. And we've taken this in mind, and we that's an experience we've had as gamers as well. We have families, we have dogs, we have responsibilities. So we try to make the game something that has both aspects. We try to touch on that childhood aspect, but we also want that active gameplay as well. So this kind of looks like the game being split into 2 halves. There's a sort of like AFK, gameplay, which is more like, old school RuneScape kind of feel where you might call it like a Netflix game. So you could maybe click a tree or something and then come back once every 1 or 2 minutes. That's the side that gets hidden behind a spreadsheet when you're at work and you're alt tabbing so your boss doesn't see. And then, you can think of that as kind of building up, resources. And, then when you get home, you can begin to, like, sort of use that buildup that you've had from work or even while you were sleeping, there is an aspect that's that passive. And, then when you're playing, now you can go full energy because you've sort of built up your quote unquote "stash" of, like, resources or sort of like a sort of energy perspective.
Is that similar to certain video games where if you're offline for a certain amount of time, then you get more of a boost in terms of experience for a short amount of time as a result, so that it's a even playing field?
It's better to think that you're, like, always in the game. Um, I don't think of that as like I've never played Rust, but Rust has this thing where like when you sign out of the game, your character's like just standing there in the game and someone can come up and like shiv you and take all your stuff. So that I might be wrong here. I apologize if anyone's played Rust and they're really familiar with it. There's not a hard restart or like really punishing aspect to the game like that. But I guess the best way to think of it is that you're always kind of in the game, but you can be I guess, like, kind of meditating or, like, recharging or, like think of it as, like, using that, your character's kind of building up, waiting for you to play the next time that you play, I guess you could say it that way.
Could it potentially be where I say, Waldo, I think Lost Kingdoms is going to do well, but honestly, I don't even want to play it at all, but I do think that it's going to do well potentially. Could I get like a character and then like stake it or just let it be AFK forever? Or is it the more of a sense of if you're busy, then it's a nice extra option there, extra feature where if you're super busy, then you can just come in when you need to, or you can be super active and get rewarded as well.
Yeah, well, not everyone that's investing in GameFi is actually a gamer. You know, some people are thinking of it from a kind of a more collectors or a financial type perspective. Those people can still have their fun and they will be kind of interacting with the game in a way that helps other people, but they're not really playing per se. But the best way to think of it is when I start to describe the active aspect of the gameplay, it starts to make more sense. The active players are the ones that are going out, they're exploring, they're discovering new resources, they're uncovering new land, and those are the ones that are going to be the first ones to get sort of more rare or end game NFTs. They're also going to be the ones that will discover they'll discover the more one of one rare sort of NFTs that other players are going to want to get their hands on because it's very valuable to the players.
I see. So I got so many more questions and they're more detail oriented. So I'm just going to zoom out here. So I think most importantly is can you give aspect as to how the gameplay will feel like? Will it be 3D Unreal Engine 5? Will it be RuneScape where you just click and your little character moves? Can you just paint a quick picture for us?
Of course. It's important to note that our game is in development. The mint is a sort of funding for the budget for this game, and how well the mint does determines what kind of game that we make because some of that funding will be used to hire additional devs. However, so far we have what we're looking at is we're looking at more of a sort of a 2D to 2.5D sort of pixel game. This allows us to kind of make artwork that we can be more reliant on the community to also help make assets or be able to churn out more assets more quickly because
Hmm.
we are kind of a small indie team. But as we grow, which we will grow and we do intend to grow, we can upgrade from what we have. So the best way to think about this is if you've ever looked at like historical documentaries for any sort of game, you can look back and you can see that we know Minecraft as this big thing. It's very complex. But games like that take a really long time to make. It's really hard to make a game like that, and it requires a lot of teamwork, a lot of assets and time. And,
Hmm.
but if you look back at what Minecraft used to be, it's just a flat plane. There's no, trees, there's no different texture packs, there's no flowers, there's nothing like that. It's just you right click, you take a block off the map, you left click, you put a block on the map, and they all look the same. If you wanted a cave, you had to dig the cave. If you wanted a mountain, you had to build it. And then they added the next thing, they added trees, and then they added the next thing, they added, cattle, you know, and they just kept building over and over again until you had tools and all these other things. So our version or original, version of the game is going to be rather simple. It might be more like kind of text-based or whatever, but you will have an interactive, multiplayer map. Like, you will be standing next to another player in the map, and you can see them, and they can see you. You can click them, and you can see what their NFT is, because the NFT is your entry to the game. Without the NFT, you do not have entry to the game. And our first access to the game is our Gen 1 mint, which is, live right now.
So naturally, you're probably getting hit with this question a lot. When game? Right? Because you got the mint, and now you're talking about the next step as to the Minecraft with the flat playing field. When is the game where people can actually kind of play it, see it, get a grasp for it?
Yeah, so, right now we're predicting, the second quarter of 2023. when people hear that, they're like, anything that's past a few months in the world of crypto starts to give people anxiety.
Yes.
But we're not doing nothing between now and then. We have lots of utility. I should start by clarifying that when you stake your NFT, you get TLK tokens, and
Okay.
TLK tokens are used to essentially interact with anything related to the Lost Kingdom. The first use of these NFTs is going to be on April 15th. You're going to be able to reveal your NFT. Right now, people can't see their NFT. So once
Mhm.
that reveal happens, that's going to cost some TLK tokens. That will be the first deflationary mechanism. And then next, we're going to have an installment of a shop. And this is a sort of mini game. And this is the first of several. And essentially, between now and the game, we can't have nothing. That's not viable for any sort of project to do. So we have lots of things lined up between now and the game that basically take minimal effort on our end, but give people a large degree of interaction and deflationary mechanisms and utility. And there's also sort of strategy effect, and some of these strategies, if played wrong, can like affect you in a less than ideal way. But mostly, we're pretty straightforward. We tell you if you do this, you're gonna have a good time, and a lot of people are listening. So the best way to kind of break this down is your character kind of starts off let's just say like a bit cold. And as you go through this process, you're going to be getting more TLK tokens from staking. Those TLK tokens are going to be used to interact with a shop where you can buy and change the assets on your character, because your character is dynamic. So the rarity, the assets, the metadata, it all changes. You don't just have a JPEG that's on Paint Swap. You can change the clothes or the weapon or parts of your character, and it's going to change on the Paint Swap, and other people are going to see that change. So
Okay. Can I ask you a question real
sure.
quick? Are you implementing NFTs similar to how Double Sharp is doing it? So I just did an interview with him recently, and we discussed the power of FNFTs and NFTs, where let's say you can have one NFT and then it's tied to multiple different other ones that represent, let's say, a hat or different clothing items. And as a result, you can then send it all together, or sell it all together, or just certain little things. Is that similar to potentially what you're doing, or am I you don't want to drop down too much information?
No, we have been fairly secretive as we are building things, but once we get to a certain level of building, then we're very transparent. So I'm not familiar with that project, but you will be able to transfer the progress of your NFT. And this sort of clothing game is a sort of progress game. It takes a long time to sort of equip your character. And if you
Mhm.
don't equip your character, you get shortchanged when the game comes, because you won't be able to do certain things. You're rather restricted. So let's say you try to enter a shop somewhat like indecent, then the shopkeeper is going to throw you out. So the people who actually played this game, because they used their TLK tokens to progress their character, they're going to have an advantage over the sort of quote unquote degens who dump their TLK tokens for short-term fiat,
Hmm.
because they're gonna need sort of those things that are in the shop, maybe like tools and such, to have kind of an efficient start. So, well, and to give the Minecraft comparison, real quick, if you're chopping a tree with a hatchet because you played the game right, someone else is punching that tree and they're getting logs a lot slower, and they're going to be dependent on these other people. And because these other people aren't going to help these quote unquote degens, for nothing, they're going to charge. And these people who short change the progress of their NFT for short term games, they're going to have to like pay what they tried to get originally back into TLK to get these tools and resources from these shops, from these players who played the game right. And they're gonna find, I think, that by that time TLK is going to be very expensive, and that's because TLK is actually a token that the sole purpose of this token is to convert into a mechanic that's used in the game that's highly valuable to every player in the game and is incredibly deflationary.
Okay, so first off, how does TLK get emitted, and what is like the tokenomics behind it?
So right now, our tokenomics is not as great as we'd like for it to be. So this is available on our Medium blog, and I can give you all the links to post on your video as well. So we have a link tree. That's just kind of link tree forward slash the Lost Kingdom, and that
Hmm.
will have access to like kind of we have a Dropbox. It's got lots of files of artwork, music, pictures, things like that. And
Yeah.
a Medium blog, Gitbook has lots of lore on it. That's we have like a lot of lore. Lore is a very heavy part of our game. To
Hmm.
give context, we have 26,673 words worth of lore, which is about a third the size of the first Harry Potter book.
Dang. That is definitely a lot. But before we get more into the lore and other stuff, number one, I got a question. So I did hear some feedback saying people minted their NFT, but they're very disappointed in the fact that they did not get the reveal. Because more of the, from what I'm understanding with the NFT experience, is the fact you mint and then quickly you get to see what you got. And it's kind of like, ooh, and the fact that they have to wait 2 weeks is like, ooh, really kind of disheartening. What would be your response to people with those thoughts?
Yeah, I don't really know how to respond to that. Crypto's very impatient. Being asked to wait is not something that crypto likes doing. But it gives you time to get more involved with the lore, to become more accustomed with our community, to kind of take in the music, and
Hmm.
it puts focus on our announcements. This allows us to really emphasize, kind of the, team updates and what's coming next. So it's not a bad thing that people are waiting for it's only 2 weeks. It's not that big a deal, you know? And during that 2 weeks, this is, lots of, marketing is taking place. So we're kind of doing an AMA run. I think we have 7 scheduled, and, pretty soon we're going to have, 10 or 12 more. There's
Dang.
a lot in discussions right
You
now, so
guys go around. You guys go. Just kidding.
yeah, yeah, we get around. We get around.
You get around. So if I would be watching this video right now, I'd be assuming, okay, professor, you're putting a lot of time asking questions, but if this is more of a game and there's some NFTs, I want to see at least some visuals to see what's going on. So I'm thinking I'm just going to take a few seconds here just to show some artwork, a little bit of the website, just so that people get an understanding as to what we're discussing here.
Yeah,
So
people love the artwork.
I took a look at it and I have to agree. There's like some really good. Now this one I would say is more rudimentary kind of like concept, but then stuff like this. Let me just hide this. That one looks cool.
Those are earlier drawings. The first one that you showed was probably one of the oldest drawings in TLK. That was,
Makes sense.
pre-Gen 0.
Oh my pre-gen zero. It's like -1 gen.
Yeah.
Maybe make that into an NFT and sell it before. But this is the website just so that people get a basic understanding. And I have to say, when I came to this website quickly, I was blown away by this artwork. In addition, the music, wow, top notch. I would love listening to it. I'm not going to play it right now for people here because the whole configuration of the audio, but I would say definitely take a listen. And the visual right here was pretty cool. And as mentioned before, you guys have allies, right? So you got Paint Swap, Byte Masons, well known. I know of Fantom Ecologists. So how did you get in connection with Byte Masons and get such a big sign off from them?
I'm not actually the team member to ask for that. Our artist and kind of the founder of the Lost Kingdom, he kind of created the entire the idea and the foundation for all the lore and the artwork. So this is kind of his envision. This is his vision, his dream. He formed connections with these big influencers very early on. He was one of the first people in Phantom, and he was going around talking to Paint Swap. He made their beardies. A lot of people are familiar with the Beardy's collection on PaintSwap.
Hmm.
Um, he also made friends with Fantom Ecologist and Justin Bebis very early on. And Bebis at Reaper Farms is actually a Genesis holder.
Wow.
I can't remember which Genesis he owns, but I remember that it was a really good one.
So this amount I do know because I was looking to get me a Gen Zero. Because back when Byte Masons was doing their token launch of Oath, like man, you could get really good discount an amount if you were a Gen Zero
Yeah. It
holder
was like
of that.
75%, I think.
Yeah, it was. I was like, dude, let me get one. And then I looked at the price. I was like, oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
I think there is a major distinction between the Genesis Zero and Genesis One. Which, correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, we're doing the Genesis One. There's a lot can still get minted, but those Gen Zero had to be really back in the day already, and the price is just insane if you want to get one.
Yeah, so, if while I'm talking here real quick, if you can go back to that Dropbox, I don't know if you closed it. Somewhere in
Yeah.
that art is the Gen Zero. Um, it shows, most of them in one picture. It might be near the bottom. Yeah, Genesis. It should be at the top, or you could just scroll through them. So these are the Gen Zero. There's 52 of them. They are, handmade individual characters and sort of NPCs within the storyline of the Lost Kingdom. They, were originally sold for 200 Phantom. I believe it's 200 Phantom. It was in early November. And,
Mhm.
so at that time, Phantom, was worth those were worth about $400 each. They are now worth, a floor price of, about 10,000 US dollars. They
Whoa.
fluctuate between 6,000 and 7,500 Phantom.
I don't know why my computer's not loading it up,
Yeah.
but man, that is whoa.
What
Because
we
on DeFi Kingdom, the Gen Zeros are going for about 20,000, and here there's 50 Genesis characters, and you're saying that it's goes up as high as already 10,000.
Yeah, and so, it depends on, yeah, and now you can start to see them. So, people really resonate with this art style, and, because there's so few of them and they offer sort of like a power up for, TLK players, they have a 3x multiplier, and, they had that as you mentioned, they have that kind of discount whitelist with, Reaper Farm. And there's gonna be more perks coming for sure because as TLK becomes more recognizable, it's not hard for projects to tack on some sort of discount or perk for just an additional 52 people, and they will, genuinely do something like that just, because it gets a sort of recognition and, builds a sort of partnership. So each of those characters, now we're looking at the monsters. Those are some sneak peeks at some of the colored monsters that are coming. We also have those in black and white and pencil sketches. The pencil sketches are the behind the scenes NFTs. Those have been given away to contributors, and they're still being given away. There's only 40 of them, so, you'd have to look at our announcements to see some of those giveaways
For
'cause they're
sure.
about
I think this is a good point to also mention that in terms of somebody saying, "Okay, professor, are you getting compensated? Are you getting any of these NFTs in any way?" Absolutely not. This is completely I'm asking questions, I'm not getting compensated, nothing. So, but I do find this intriguing. I'm I'm like,
yeah.
dang,
Even more so, you literally said you refused. You refused,
I did.
TLK tokens or anything like that.
Mhm.
Because we offer TLK tokens to whoever helps us arrange a sort of AMA with someone, and because, you stepped forward first, you would have been kind of the one that claimed those TLK tokens, and you're like, "No, thanks."
Wait, hold up, I could get TLT token No, I'm just
Yes.
messing with it.
Yeah.
No. But
This
that
changes
is cool.
everything.
I and my reasoning for that was I just want to be able to ask questions and be here and do that. But disclaimer, I do actually have 3 NFTs that are staking currently, so that I will disclose. So this is the minting page. This is the progress thus far. Seems like you can get male players, female players. Gives probably more of a visual as to how you can customize clothing in the future. It's going for 70 Phantom. So I would assume that some people are going to say, yeah, that is a little bit steep for a mint, right? What would be your response to something like that, where people are like, man, I kind of want to pay 10 Phantom, not 70 Phantom?
We were actually hearing that it was cheap. It really just depends who you talk to. If someone's new to crypto, they feel that that's kind of more on the expensive side. If
Hmm.
someone has been in Phantom for a while, it's kind of a moderate price or maybe a little cheap. If someone's from like Ethereum, that's like free basically. Those people will pay $500 plus for like a cat JPEG that's static and has no utility. and then they'll pay an additional 500 for gas. So if Ethereum came over here, they would be like, all right, I'm for sure buying whatever the limit is.
Yeah, and are you going cross chain? Because right now you're on Phantom, and previously we were discussing, and I think you mentioned to me that perhaps Harmony won, which raises the next question: is are you guys competing against was it DeFi? Was it? Give me just a second. I can't believe I
It's like
forgot the name
kingdoms.
right here. DeFi Kingdoms, right? So
Yeah.
are you guys are you guys looking to compete? How can you compete? And also the team size is something else because you said that you're going to be hiring, but in terms of prospect on how much you can deliver, I think these are all questions that come to my mind. So that was a lot, but go ahead and take it from there.
Yeah, a lot of people make the comparison between us and DeFi Kingdoms because DeFi Kingdoms is kind of has this first mover advantage and this kind of also they have kingdoms in the name. It's not a giant leap between the one project and the other in terms of like maybe trying to find some sort of correlation.
Hmm.
We don't really pay much attention to DeFi Kingdoms. We just kind of are taking like a big heavy rock up off the ground, and then we're carrying it up a mountain and we're setting it down, and we're just doing that over and over again. We're trying to build a castle, and it takes time. DeFi Kingdoms has had established has they've had time to establish themselves. So people kind of look at them, they see this large thing, they look at us, they see this new thing that's coming up. But it's quite possible that we could be that large, even in the near future. But I don't know. We're just kind of doing our own thing. We like to think of ourselves as kind of indie and small, but it's quite possible that with enough support and enough devs being hired and artists and musicians and whatnot, that we will be kind of become more of a corporation rather than like a local bakery.
Fair enough. So this seems to be the team right here, correct? You got Loser King as the artist, Root here as a full stack dev, a second full stack dev. Hey, there's you, and then also CryptoNet for the marketing. So I take it like this is the core team here as of right now, and looking to the future, adding on potentially.
Yeah, and there is something interesting about our team in that a lot of teams they kind of you put feelers out and you're trying to find someone maybe through like some sort of Craigslist or in other communities or you're saying, hey, we need an artist or this and that.
Yeah.
We're actually we have someone that we all know and trust, and they're sort of kind of like a big influencer in crypto, and they kind of handpicked each of us. They're choosing to remain anonymous at this time, but as of recently, they did join our Discord, and they will start to make an appearance more and more and get involved in TLK. But
Hmm.
they were busy off doing their own thing. But they handpicked our team based on kind of uh, similarities between us and them, and that it was kind of a focus on kind of perfectionism and the sort of strengths and weaknesses we have playing off each other, as well as integrity. So we had this thing where once, and each one of us at some point or another has been trusted by that person with a sizable amount of money, and then returned, like stayed true to our agreement. So, it's kind of like we trust this person and they trust us, and it allowed us to kind of skip the clunky, awkward phase in the beginning of not really knowing who you're dealing with and starting to get to know your team. And, like, right off the bat where we get along really, really well, we trust each other, and it's very easy to delegate between one person and another and know that it's going to get done, and that's very hard for new teams.
There you go. So, do you have any venture capitalists or any of that nature in your project right now? Because that seems to be a major concern. And I guess I feel it. I don't necessarily do as much research as I should, but a lot of time venture capitalists say like, okay, we'll give you the funding right away, but then they give a they get a good portion market size, and then they're looking to dump once their vested period is over. Do you have that right now in terms of venture capitalists?
No, we've I wouldn't say aggressively, but we have diligently denied any sort of venture capitalist requests. We've got a lot of them. We are community funded and we're from the ground up. And we feel like if that's not enough, then we need to grow the community or we need to produce more value. But we're not going to seek sort of funding in that format.
Fair enough. So a lot of people can then take a look at your Twitter page and your Discord following. I'm going to pop this open right here.
Yeah, Um, Twitter is used mostly for announcements, but we do, as we were talking earlier, we like to have fun and post some memes on there and stuff. Like the, Darth Vader was TOK choking out the Phantom network. That was a fun one.
Is it on here? Can I scroll and find? Oh, Dr. Andre, talk about the meme master. Here we go. He's got the corgi memes, man. I
Yeah,
want to join in on that, but I also want to do some duck banana, some sort of combination. I'm not sure
yeah.
if I should do it with the duck or with a banana. So
That was, that's Corgi Gate. We also had Bean Gate. A guy came in and was posting, baked Boston baked beans, memes. I don't think wait, Boston baked beans, that's a candy, right? Just
that
baked beans, regular baked beans.
Boston baked beans is a candy.
Yeah, that's old school. It's I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a peanut covered in, like, this red candy. It's like an M&M except the inside's a peanut and the outside
I'm
is
not surprised why that did not catch on and is not around. I'm just
yeah. I actually haven't heard of them in a long time, so I think you're genuinely onto something.
all right, so let's just take a look here. So yeah, you're going on a AMA spree. So let's see here. I know that you got with Byte Masons and a few other people, and let's take a look at here. What's this all about? Rough
Oh,
draft for
that's
April.
not the same, schedule that you're thinking of. That's just kind of, that one doesn't show the current AMAs that we have scheduled, but we have, I'd have to open that. I think I sent that to you in a DM or something. But we have, yeah, we have an AMA coming up with Byte Masons on the Saturday the 9th.
Hmm.
Then we got Moon Robots, and we also have, Potluck and and a few others. But we're currently in the process of speaking with some more, sort of blue chips, as well as a very recognizable, uh, well, I don't wanna give it away in case it doesn't go through, but a very, very recognizable name in Fantom. And we're in talks with that, that might come through. So, yeah, expect to see, marketing come really hard. We haven't really done much marketing, and we've minted out a third of our supply just kind of with casual word of mouth. We
Hmm.
haven't done anything really aggressive or any sort of marketing. We have paid $0, for marketing, no crypto, no fiat, nothing like that. If you can't do it without any of that, like, so we're trying to do it the right way. We're doing it genuine. We're getting slow growth. We want to make sure that our community's number is accurate. We don't want to have it say 20 or 30K and everyone knows that it's a bunch of bots or useless accounts because we did invite giveaways. So we don't do
Mm.
anything like that. It's just people that actually care about the project and the people that talk about us. They talk about us because they like us. We have not paid any of the big influencers or the blue chips that talk about us. They talk about us because they've gotten to hear us, they got to know us, and they like us. They like what the project's about. Usually, the big sell is that they see that artwork, they see that music by Steven Vinyl. Steven Vinyl's an excellent composer and musician. And the next song that you guys are going to hear is going to come from the reveal page. It's locked behind validation. So you have to own a Gen 1 and pay TLK to reveal your character.
Hmm.
It's not a crazy amount of TOK or anything, but, that song has a live violin artist in it, and some of the future songs, we're actually, putting aside a budget to fund live orchestras. So you're going to see some, pretty top-notch, high production music coming.
Yeah, I have to say the artwork, I was blown away from it. And I think I got a little spoiled, honestly, because I was like, well, you guys are indie, so small. You're able to crank this out. That's just how all projects should be. But then when I really started to think about it, like, no, I really don't see a lot of even crypto projects that are coming out really trying to push, even have this level. So when I saw this, I was blown away, and likewise with the music. So that is definitely really cool. Even excuse me, even when I took a look at the minting page, I saw it just here. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like right here, it kind of looks a little clunky, but when I look at the back right here on the detail, I'm like, dang, that's really cool. So,
Yeah, so, a lot of people, they see our page, they see the artwork, and they see everything, and they're like, "Wow, that's really crisp. We like the way that the website looks and moves." But we have to remind people that this is our MVP. So, that's, also known as a minimum viable product. So you can't just go full on perfectionist and do everything the way that you wanna do it right away. You have to start kind of basic, like that Minecraft flat plane, and then you
mm,
add the trees, then you add the axes. So every time you see something, you go, "Wow, this looks amazing." It's like that's our MVP. We're creating in our sort of basic format. We're trying to just get it up and move quickly to the next thing so
Yeah.
that we can focus on building things in a really strong foundational way. So yeah, this website, everything that you're looking at here is just kind of more of a rudimentary look, and we're gonna begin to build it as we go.
So it's similar to, let's say, what was it, World of Warcraft, where they would bring out the trailer and you watch the cinematic trailer, you're like, wow, when I play the game, that's what it's gonna feel like. But then you actually get in the game, like, wait, this is completely different. So in essence, this feels the same way, where you're saying this is our top notch, 100%. You want to make the first page really good, but in the meantime, you're behind the scenes building, and keep that in mind.
Yeah, the name of the game is basically stall. You stall in a brilliant way. So you kind of you make something that's great. You know, you're not making anything sloppy. You're being a perfectionist, but you want to spend the least amount of man hours to get the most amount of fun and grinding and interaction out of it. And while you're doing that, people are interacting with it while you build the next thing, and you just do that over and over and over again while you reiterate in a way that kind of intertwines things and makes things stronger as you go.
Sounds good. So let's take care of this Discord because
Yeah.
I got removed from here just to give a process as to how to actually join it and see it, because we were talking about organic growth, and a lot of people, they can look at, let's say, my subscriber count, right? Because we were discussing, you're like, I don't know, Professor, your subscriber count's kind of like, eh. I was like, dude, but I love my audience. This is like deep. I'm on the Fantom side, and that's what I do. I'm not just going to try to do whatever it takes to get as many subscribers. And I feel that you guys almost did the same thing, where you talked about the Discord numbers. You're not just going to get everybody in there hyped about a giveaway just so that people are there to boost your numbers. There's a certain feel that you stated to me that it's regarding like the feel and the community. So how about you walk me through here, and then you can just tell me the importance of community and how this one is way different, and why it's really important for a gaming project or any project in and of itself.
Sure. So you're looking at the verify page. Sometimes people get stuck on this, but we tried to help with multiple languages. So it says to start your adventure, you need to pick up that axe there. So if you click that emoji that I think like 6,000 other people have clicked, yeah, now you have access to all the channels. You can see the whole server. We have lots of kind of fun channels. Our community is very, very active. Every time you go in there, it's kind of a new name or people are saying something, and it really shows when we're talking with other projects. They kind of look at your community, you look at theirs, and they see the activity. It shows. Um, so look, there's someone burning tokens. There's some kind of fun animations that pop up and bot triggers. We have over 150 plus bot commands. So these are kind of there's some kind of educational ones. You might have a command that shows you how to set up a wallet. You could do like question mark MetaMask. You could do question mark contract, and you can see all the official contract addresses, charts, URLs to pretty much anything that you want. How to bridge. Bridging from something like Harmony or Ethereum to Phantom is very easy. You can do that in less than 2 minutes for like about $2. And there's loads of instructions on how to do things like that. And once those instructions came up, we started to see a lot more people begin to mint and come over from Phantom. I mean, from Harmony to Phantom. You know, a real fun one I like to do is, do question mark, call police. So that one, someone calls the police, you can call the police on someone. There's lots of, fun commands like that. So
So I'm just having fun right here. So I just typed in, "Hey, I'm recording. Give me a good meme." I want to see if anybody does it. Hold on.
yeah,
I'm gonna actually do it. Just do it for the
that's
vine. Do
that's
it for the
risk
vine. Hold on.
right there. You're gonna get corgi memes or something. We're in a corgi phase right now. Everyone's posting corgi memes.
All right. So we're gonna take a look and see if anybody can deliver on these memes, because you know what? I need me some corgi memes ASAP. Let's see if he comes on.
True,
Summon
true.
corgis.
That's
We'll make it happen. But either way, so yeah, I like the fact that in the chat, it's not all discussions about price and when mint and all that. So it's more of a long term play in that sense. But it seems that you guys understand that. No, oh my gosh, here we go. Hold up,
Oh, it's happening.
the lettuce.
So, something, that's interesting about our community is, uh, an NFT project will usually launch, and then the community kind of dies down because they don't really have anything to talk about. So they go, "What color hat was your NFT wearing?" And they go, "Well, mine was blue." And they go, "What about yours?" And they're like, "Mine was red." And they're like, "That's cool." And, like, there's not really much else there, and other than, like, kind of predicting what's coming next, and if the project's not really fulfilling, the needs of the consumers, then by adding additional value, then they will then there's nothing really there, right? It kind of dies down, it becomes a soft rug or something like that. So we have so much to talk about. We never have enough to talk about. You can talk about any of the lore for the original 52 Genesis characters. You can begin to kind of predict what's going to happen next in their chapters. You can talk about the religion, the politics, the geography, the type of foods that certain regions eat. There's all kinds of things in the lore. It covers pretty much everything. There's various monsters. They have kind of unique abilities and regions that they interact with. And so you can start to kind of see the game as you go. We also have comics get posted from the TLK universe. Soon we'll have kind of like coloring books and like adult coloring books and all kinds of things like that. So there's a lot to talk about. Just recently, we were talking about how a character that's sort of been sold into slavery, and they don't really remember kind of what happened.
Mhm.
Before that happened, they were in a battle and they got hit on the head, and they were kind of technically a really bad person before they got hit on the head, and now they
Wow.
don't remember who they are. So people are like, "Oh, are they gonna remember that they're bad and be bad? Or are they gonna change? They're gonna be good?" And like, was it not the blow to the head? Was it that they're psychologically trying to suppress how bad a person they are because they came to the realization that it was them that caused the loss of the battle? I don't know.
Oh,
That's just one character. We do things like that all day long.
dang. So you guys are creating a lot of lore and creating more about the game. So can you drop down more details? Because we already showed the Discord, we showed some images, we talked about the team. Which, by the way, I got more of a vibe of almost Byte Masons in a sense because Byte Masons is not necessarily all about hype and marketing, but the community seems to be very strong, right? That's the thing that's like holding it together, and then everything else is just extra. So I get almost the same sense that people like the game, they like discussing, but then likewise, it's just more of the community that is holding it together and just real chill vibes.
Yeah, we like Byte Masons. Justin Bebis was in there in our pre-sale with Kevin Barker from Byte Masons, and Kevin was actually freestyle rapping with one of our devs. So we have that recording, and it was very magical, and it was really good. So it was really good. So we might release that sometime soon. Maybe we could use it as like a prize incentive. Like, hey, if we sell out half the mint supply or more or something, then we can release that. That's something that projects tend to do.
Or
But that was great.
wasn't there a certain NWA or some sort of track album that was never released to the public, and then all of a sudden it got like sold 30 years later? That is the equivalent.
Yeah, I don't know, I haven't, heard that reference, but, Moby Dick was kinda that way. When it was originally published, no one cared about it, and the guy kinda died, and it was just a nothing book that was on a shelf, and then everyone
Really.
picked it up, and they're like, "This book is literally insane." And then it became now everyone knows the name Moby Dick.
So how about if you could give a little bit more of an appetite as to the lore and the characters and some of the things that you're doing with the project, and then we can probably just drop it there and provide some links as to how people can follow and be a part of TLK if this is what's interesting to them.
Sure. Do you mind if I just mention another thing or 2 real quick that I realized that we didn't touch on? Those are things that, people usually seem to have a bit of interest in.
Sure, go for it.
So, the TLK one aspect that makes the TLK game kind of great is that you will have the ability to own land. This is something that a lot of GameFi people are very interested in, and, I don't wanna say too much about the land, but it's not just big land ownership, it's actually got some kind of fun mechanics there and is a sort of game of its own. We also have interest in setting up a scholarship program. This is something where a big whale maybe has too many NFTs for them to actually move with in any sort of convenient or fluid way as like a gamer. And
Hmm.
this will allow people to kind of rent out their NFTs to other people with some sort of smart contract agreement. So another person can play on their account kind of for them, and they get like dividends in a way like something like that. So that's something we're discussing. Um, we also we've noticed that a lot of players are having they have sort of like a main account and then an alt account. So, because in the game you can kind of craft NFTs, you can explore, you can find various things that you can use to craft
Yeah.
more objects. And
Mhm.
that's going to compound as we go, so there will be more and more, items, and these items in the game are actually NFTs. So, if you, maybe are the first one to explore and find sort of this, rare NFT, you might be the only one that has that and everyone wants it. That's something that's, often pretty desirable, and maybe, you could use, like, your alt to kind of charge up a sort of main account or to, have a different path. So, the players are kind of gonna go in different directions in terms of skill sets, and some of them will have skills that, other players depend on. So if you're smart and you look at the analytics, and we might even charge TLK to have access to those analytics. So if you're smart and you have TLK in a certain way that other people don't, you can kind of gleam information and you might choose a path that other players don't choose. So if everyone's kind of choosing to mine, but no one's choosing to smelt or something, you might be the only guy that can smelt the ore that they have or do any sort of smithing type things or anything like that. So some people have multiple accounts, multiple Gen 1s, because they want to have maybe one account does more mining direction where another one does more like smelting. There's also a good and evil type play that people suspect is there. I'm not going to allude too much more to that, but there are ways to kind of mess with players that are more mischievous, not super disruptive in a super disruptive kind of way, but I just called it the dirty penny effect. So if you're kind of a jerk to people in the fast food line, when you get up to the window, they're going to give you the dirty pennies from the register. It doesn't really affect you because sure you have your change, but it's like grungy. So there are some dirty penny type effects between players. And there's also shiny penny effects. So you might make friends with someone, and there will be some shiny penny type mechanisms as well.
So it sounds like you guys are coming up with kind of unique concepts as to how to really interact and do something a little bit different as opposed to just your general, I guess, play that you would do.
Yeah, the best way to think of it, and then we can kind of wrap things up here. We are players ourselves, and we've played through lots of different eras with lots of different games, and we have all this diversified gaming experience, and we bring that to the table because when gamers make games, magical things happen, right? Because we know, oh, I remember this cool thing from that game. How can we incorporate this? Another person says, I remember this from this thing from a completely different game category, completely different approach and even era, and I'm gonna bring that into the equation as well. So we're making a game that we ourselves wanna play. That's why we're doing this. If we don't like it, we will change the game until we do. Granted, it's not going to be the way that we want it to be at first because it has to be more rudimentary, but as we go, we're gonna keep building it until it's something beautiful.
I guess it would relate to similar where you talked about the good versus evil potentially. There is some speculation, and that aspect would relate to probably Fable. I know that game is probably where you do certain choices, and your character gets more evil or more holy as time progresses. So I see that in relation.
Yeah,
Um,
I enjoyed that game, but, we're not doing it quite like Fable. Um But we do have this lore aspect. Fable kind of touches on things like that. I like that Fable has a dog that follows you around. Maybe we'll have something like that 'cause, pets are something that everyone's obsessed with because a lot of GameFi projects are trying to incorporate pets, because usually they could be represented as NFTs. We might do
mhm.
something like that, but let's just say that something coming up will involve monsters, and people are seeing colored monsters. That's something that we think people are going to be excited about. They're also going to be able to mint Steven Vinyl's music. So he is the person who makes the music for TLK, and those will be accessible in our shop, and that's on our roadmap. But yeah, and he's going to be getting the funding for that. So if you really like the music, there will be a very easy way to support the artist.
Sure. And I'm just coming up with a few extra questions here, and these are probably more hard hitting. Are you ever concerned about a different project stepping up on the Phantom side and saying, you guys got four devs, or you got like two devs, and you're trying to grow kind of the indie style. Guess what? We got more devs, we got a bigger budget, and we got such ambition. We're just gonna take over, step aside. Do you have any concerns about that, or what would be your response to a project that tries to do that?
Absolutely not. We're doing our thing. They're gonna do their thing, and it's just gonna be the way it is. GameFi is not going to be able to grow on its own. Everyone needs to start thinking of each other as like friendly neighbors and sort of helping each other out, because it's not just gonna be one game that gets everyone's attention into GameFi. It's going to be like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different games that are each have different player base and kind of styles and formats, and that's what's gonna bring everyone in. We're just kind of doing our own thing, and eventually it will become something magical. I think that it's already magical. A lot of people are spending a lot of time going over uh, our lore and playing a role in creating that lore. And soon we're going to be moving that lore from the Gitbook to the Wikipedia. When that happens, users will be able to submit their own lore with a sort of approval process that goes top down, and there will be like a quote unquote verified lore, and then there will be like unverified lore. So it's sort of like fan fiction. Um, Hopefully, it doesn't turn in the same direction that Harry Potter fan fiction has turned. But we might we've noticed that a lot of our lore writers are actually like really, really talented, and they've done some pretty amazing things with our lore. So we're very, very close to our community. We listen when people offer suggestions. We listen, incorporate them, and you can go to our user suggestions channel, and you can see over and over again. You can scroll up. You can see things that we're already doing that was suggested, and that's because we're listening. If we're usually in the Discord and the voice channels working, and you can see us working, and the name of the channel is what we're working on. So you can see that we're working, you can see exactly what we're working on. If you have any questions or need something, we will pop in and help you. And we do lots of kind of public chats and town halls. And when we get the time for it, we like to play games and things like that with the community. But we've been far too busy to be able to do something like that.
Fair enough. So, how about we wrap up here? Do you have any final comments that you want to leave to the users or also to the audience as well? And likewise, what's the best way of how to follow you?
Best thing to do if you want to get more familiar with the Lost Kingdom. During this week, we're doing the AMAs, and then we're kind of refining our process for new users. So when you go into the Discord, the Start Here channel is always going to be kind of where we want people to start. It's right at the top, and it will kind of link you and guide you to all the other things. It's very MVP right now, but you can see channels that it links to that are more refined. The whole Discord is going to kind of look like that soon. The Medium has Tokenomics, which is more of a sort of white paper, to be honest. Then we have the roadmap on there as well. That has an arrow that sort of moves as we do things. And really, I just want to say, go check out the Mint page. You know, look around and see if this is something you want to invest in, because it's really just an NFT project that, on its own, is amazing. It stands alone with the lore, the music, the artwork. Our community is amazing, and that in itself is a value, right? If you're comparing this to something like you're going to a store with a gift basket, like what are you usually putting in that basket? You're putting like a JPEG in there, right? In ours, you get the music, it's professional music. You get the artwork, it's really beautiful artwork. People resonate with it. You get the lore, you get the community, you get the whole experience, all the inside jokes, and a community um, that is can be really close to the devs when they need it. And you're getting basically a big gift basket. And in addition to that, you're funding a game. So that's the way to think about it. And if you go to look at our Mint page, um, you will see the Gen 1, and that's entry to the game. That's the seat at the table. Without that, there is no seat at the table for quite a while. You'll have to wait for like a Gen 2 or a Gen 3. And by then, the floor price of these Gen 1s is probably going to be significantly higher. So now's your chance to get in at a low price. If it seems expensive now, it's probably going to seem a lot more expensive later on. Our Gen 0 was originally 200 Phantom, and now it's like 6,000, 7,000 Phantom. So the people back then, they felt that Gen 0 was expensive, but they definitely feel that way now.
Sounds good. And what's the best way of how to follow? So you said the Discord channel. Should they look at your Twitter, or what's the best way?
I would say Linktree, because we have the Linktree / the Lost Kingdom on there. It's got the website, Discord, Twitter, Medium, and it can always be changed to include more things. I intend to add like the a direct link to the tokenomics and stuff like that on there as well.
Sounds good. I'll keep a link in the description. So, Waldo, thank you so much for coming on, answering some of my questions. Hopefully, that answers all the questions that I had and the audience in terms of what Lost Kingdoms is doing and what's the hype behind it. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe so I can get more people on here like Waldo off Lost Kingdoms. And we will see you guys in the next video. Pieces.